Hey guys, my name is Diamond Lane, and today I am back with a video. Today's video is going to be based off of depression and anxiety. I'm going to talk about a little bit of both, give you guys some tips. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I can help some people. Just keep in mind though that like what necessarily works for me and what makes me cope with my anxiety and my depression doesn't always work for everybody else, but it may work for most. So first and foremost, I'm gonna start with anxiety. I can say that I was probably diagnosed with anxiety at 15 years old when I was going to stuff in high school. You know, I've had some friends that, you know, when you start high school, things happen, everything changed. Everything that you were everybody you were friends with in middle school or in elementary school, they change, they get new friends. Just a lot of, everything changes. It's a big life change getting into high school. I would say starting my freshman year, in the middle of my freshman year, me and one of my best, she was my best friend, we got into it over some guy. I told her she could speak to that guy, whatever the case was, but it was still problems, you know. She went to people, she was telling people everything. I had let her read, like, you know, she's my best friend. She's like my journal. She was telling people everything that I was telling her. So we ended up cutting it off. One morning I woke up, I went on social media, and I have like this article of some BS saying that I have some type of transmitted disease or whatever the case is, which wasn't true because at the time I was a virgin still, but whatever. So they're starting rumors or whatever. I ignored it, I deleted it off my page. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's not a big deal. I go to school, apparently they spread it out throughout the whole entire school. So everybody in school is just talking their mess and doing all this and all that and making it a big deal. So I've had people follow me around in school talking about that they wanted to fight me and they were gonna jump me and all this other stuff. One time let's like fast forward to whatever, I had left school because it was really like overwhelming. I left school, I went home, I decided to just like end my life kind of. So when I got home, I took a bottle of pills, whatever. I took it. That was around like 12:30 p.m. because I left during lunchtime. So I walked all the way home. I took that. I stayed home. My boyfriend at the time came over, whatever. I told him. He didn't really care like that or whatever the case is. He ended up leaving. My mom came home from work. It hit me around nighttime though. You know, I was sitting down, my mom had just finished cooking dinner, so I decided to eat dinner. I sat on the couch and I guess I was like dozing off on the couch. On the couch though, like I felt my body getting cold. Like it was getting cold and it was getting warm. Then it was getting cold. I felt sick. I felt like my face getting numb. My lips were like really pale. So I started to doze off, and my mom, like, you know, she kept waking me up and she was like, hey, what's good with you? Like, what's wrong? You were just good like 2 hours ago or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't feel good, whatever. So I guess she thought that I had like a flu, like a fever or whatever. So she told me, hey, just go upstairs, go to sleep. So I go upstairs. I had to get help to walking up the stairs because I couldn't really walk like that. So I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning around 8. Now, my mom told me that she tried waking me up around like 6 in the morning because we catch the bus around like 7:20 to get to school on time. Well, no, not 7:20. We catch the bus around like 6:50 because school started at like 7:20 or whatever the case is. So I got there, she woke me up around 8. No, I woke up around 8. She tried to wake me up around like 6:30 around there. So when I woke up, I told her, like, I called her and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm awake, whatever. And she was like, oh, it's okay, go to sleep. You're sick. I know you're sick. You can stay home today. I'll be home later. I'm about to be going to work. I'm like, okay, whatever. She goes downstairs. My sister was already gone because me and my sister shared a room at the time. She was already gone. She already had gone to school. She comes home. I mean, not she comes home. My mom goes downstairs. She's about to leave. I try to get up to use the bathroom. Now, when I got up to try to use the bathroom, I fell. I collapsed on the floor. I got scared. I climbed myself back on the bed. And I like started crying because I got scared. And I ended up telling my mom. I texted my mom like, hey, I'm sorry. I took pills. You know, I'm sorry I didn't come to you, because my mom didn't know anything about what was going on in school. She didn't know nothing about like the girls bullying me, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it. She didn't, you know, she didn't know about any of that. I didn't talk to her about any of that. My sister didn't know about any of it. So right after that had happened, she came upstairs crying like, oh, why would you do that, and blah blah blah, you know, like she was like, you know, we love you, you should have came and talked to me, and all this other stuff. So she called my sister bugging out like, oh, I can't believe you you didn't tell me, because I guess she thought my sister knew, but my sister was like, I don't know anything. So she basically was like, oh, you know, like she did this or whatever. And then she called my aunt. My aunt came. They helped me walk downstairs to the car, put me in the car, brought me to the emergency room, and instantly they brought me to the back, obviously, because it's like an emergency. So they pumped me out. Like, they put this tube down my throat and they like pumped all the pills out and stuff, and they made me drink this type of charcoal, like a charcoal drink. That was the worst. They made me drink this charcoal drink or whatever. I was able to leave that day, but like, you know, it wasn't like, people think that when I try to end my life that it was just that situation. And oh, and keep mind you, after, like, I don't know how they found out that happened, but they ended up telling the whole school that I had tried to end my life, and everybody was just making a joke out of it. And it's funny because a lot of the females that were a part of that situation are the females that be trying to be in my inbox, being friends with me now, which is why they don't get a response from me. But that's aside from everything. Yeah, so I ended up leaving that day because some lady from Crisis came to talk to me, and she was like, oh, you seem fine, you don't, you know, you seem like you were just going through a hard time, you know, they set me up with therapy or whatever the case is. So I go to therapy, right? Therapy, okay, I'm really against therapy, because therapy is supposed to help you. And I don't, like, just because I'm telling you guys this, I don't want you to feel like you don't have to go to therapy, because therapy works for different people, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's different. What works for you won't work for me, and what works for me won't work for you. But for me personally, therapy is not it for me. So what I did is I went to therapy, whatever. I was like 15. I don't know if I mentioned I was 15 at the time, going on 16. I went to therapy. They ended up, I wasn't allowed to go to the school that I was going to at the time. I was out of school for 6 months because I was trying to get into another school. So I was out of school for 6 months, and during that time I was going to therapy. You know, I don't really feel like what really affected me was the whole situation of me getting bullied in 9th grade. I feel like what really brought me to that point was the fact that I've never had a relationship with my dad. Like, I feel like that's what the root of the problem is, not having my dad in my life. I feel like that's what it was. That's where my anxiety comes from. That's where my depression comes from. You know, so when I got to therapy, I guess they were like, oh, okay, so let's focus on the whole dad situation, right? So I was telling them about my dad. I had this one therapist. She was great, like, but there was this one point that she told me she wasn't going to tell anybody anything, and she ended up telling them anyway. And that's how I felt like, okay, I felt iffy going to somebody that I don't know to tell all my problems to. She doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. So for her to betray me, knowing that she's the only one that I trusted to speak to, like, about what I was going through and what was on my mind and what I was holding in, like, I just didn't trust anybody at all. Like, I don't trust anybody at all to begin with. So she really just gave me even a better better reason to not trust nobody. So I stopped going to therapy after that. After that, that's when it became hell, because it turned into me having to deal with my stuff on my own, cope with everything on my own. I started my sophomore year in Central, 6 months after. I finally got into the school I wanted to get into, whatever. Honestly, I was a horrible person, and not horrible, I was a horrible student. I didn't want to do my work, I didn't want to do anything. I barely wanted to go to class, I barely wanted to be around people. My mom, on the other hand, she's a great mom, but you know when you have those moms that don't really listen to your problems, because after I tried to end my life, that put a toll on my mom. My mom got depressed, my mom got anxiety, she lost her job. She did a complete change. She's not the same that she was before, so I can't really go talk to her about things that I know broke her to begin with. So to try to avoid her being more broken, or avoid her feeling like it's her fault more and more, I decided to just keep it to myself and not really say anything. I ended up becoming wild. I was never listening. I was always running away, going out. That's how I dealt with my stuff. At one point though, I decided to just stop everything that I was doing. I decided I ended up meeting the boyfriend that I have now. He changed my life around drastically. I don't, I stopped going out all the time. I stopped drinking out all the time. I stopped smoking with just random people all the time. I stopped doing a lot of shit, a lot of stuff, excuse my language, all the time. I was always at home, so it gave me more of a chance to really think about things and get my mind together. So the best way that I learned how to cope is by writing. I write a lot of things. I've always wanted to get on YouTube and just boom, put a YouTube video about what video that I'm making now, about depression and anxiety, and what I've been through and what caused that for me, and how I deal with it now until my day, until my life today, today. So what I do, I started writing everything down. I wrote everything down. Sometimes I would write everything down, rip it up and throw it away. Sometimes I would write everything down, how my day went, how my anxiety was, what I did to deal with my anxiety. I would do that. I would write that down, and then I would look back, after a week, because I would do it every day. After a week, I would look back to the beginning of the week that I wrote and see the difference and the change on how I grew from just that week. And that would motivate me a lot more. Another thing I would do is, because I'm against pills, so I don't take clonazepams, I don't take Zoloft. Oh, Zoloft is a whole different story. That's gonna be because I tried it once because my doctor prescribed it to me, but that's gonna be a whole nother story time. It was horrible. But I don't take Zoloft. I don't take no pills to uplift me and stuff. So once I feel myself getting down and depressed, when it gets to the when I wake up and I feel I don't want to get up, or when I wake up and all of a sudden I feel my soul is getting angry and I'm just getting agitated with everybody and irritated, and everything that somebody's doing is annoying the shit out of me. What I do is I get up, I play my music. If my son is up, I play with him, I run around with him, I play some toys, I read him some books, I put some kid music on, or music that I listen to. We dance, we do whatever it is. That makes me feel better. Sometimes I go to the park, I take the kids to the park, I go on a walk, I go out to eat, I order something, I eat, I listen to music. Sometimes I even put church music on. Currently I am reading this Bible. It's called the Holy Bible. It's an app. If you download it, they have plans on there, and it kind of helps. The plans help you, you could pick whatever plan you want. It helps you heal. It helps. There's one that's called healing. There's one that's called anxiety, one for depression, whatever. I just finished the healing process one, so I'm moving on to anxiety, because I have way more anxiety than I do depression. Sometimes I confuse the two, but yeah, I do. Right now I'm gonna start the anxiety one. I just finished the healing one, and it really made sense, because I was so like going through a lot of stuff and I need to heal. Like, you know, sometimes you just have to let everything go. You're never like, you're not gonna heal unless you let everything go. Everything that you're going through, you need to let it go. You need to forgive. That's the main step to healing, is forgiving. You don't have to forget, but you have to forgive, because if you don't forgive, you're holding all of that in. No matter how many times that you think you're over it, you're not over it unless you forgive and unless you let go. That's the only way for you to heal, well, to continue your process to healing. So I let go of a lot of things. I let go of the grudges with my father. I let go of the grudges of feeling like nobody has been there my whole life. I let go of the, like, you know, me and my sister have had our ups and downs. Me and her are close now. You know, we're working on that sister connection that we didn't have before because of everything that, like, I've been through and everything that she has been through. I grew up having both my parents when I was younger. My dad was barely around. My dad was, you know, running the streets, doing whatever the case is. My mom was always busting her butt for us, doing what she had to do. One of my mom's ex-boyfriends was really like verbally abusive. So that was one of the reasons for my anxiety. Like I have like PTSD. So there's like, I had to control my anger a lot because there's a lot of words that he had told us to our face, like, that really ruined us. So when somebody calls me one of those names, like, I instantly black out and I'm like, okay, I'm about to beat this ass, okay? But I learned to just relax and let that go. And it's like, I can't hold on to that if I want to move forward. Like, you know, I have kids looking up to me. I can't show my anger. I can't just lash out, even if they're like, you know what I mean? I can't just be doing that, especially when I want to heal. So that was one of my healing processes. Like, I worked overnight at the MGM casino, and I'm just standing in the closet one day because I wasn't doing no cleaning, and I'm like, you know what, I'm about to just download this Holy Bible book app. So downloaded it. Every night when I would go to work, I would read the Bible when I didn't have anything to do. And I would start, like, because the healing process would be day by day. Like, it'll be like sometimes a 7-day process or a 14-day process, or it's different days. Like, they'll have a devotional and then they'll have like verses for you to read, or a whole chapter. Like, the whole chapter is not even that long, so I would just read it. Sometimes I would just read the verses that they want me to read, but sometimes I would just read the whole entire chapter. So I had, like I said, I finished the healing process. I'm moving on. I'm trying to start working out. I'm trying to start eating healthier, because I know your diet has a lot to do with your anxiety and your depression and your mental health. I'm trying to do yoga, meditation. I've tried meditation and it's really hard for me to concentrate, but I do meditation because I'm getting better at it now. I'm gonna start going to the gym. I just feel like, you know, it's hard. Like, it's hard for you to get up and do things when you don't feel like doing it. It's me out of everything know, like, what it's like, you know what I mean? So, like, I can't tell you, like, oh, just get up and do it because it's that easy. Like, no, of course it's not easy. There's times where I don't even want to get out of bed, but I have like a 1-year-old son that I have to get out of bed no matter what. So that's like a good motivation for me. I can just say, like, my advice to you guys would be, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, if you have anxiety, like, focus on what you think it's causing that. Okay? Focus on that and pray. That's what I can say. Like, praying will do a lot. Praying will heal a lot. Like, I know a lot of people don't believe in praying, but I was one of those people, and praying changed my life. Like, I'm not saying it just to say it. I'm saying it because I witnessed firsthand that praying has changed my life. I've been through hell and back, and I have done nothing but pray, and I lost faith a lot of times, but lately I have not lost faith, and losing faith, like, it would make it harder. Like, it doesn't matter how hard things get, you have to have faith. You have to keep going. You have to get up. You have to keep doing your daily life routines. You can't just sit down and quit because of one little thing that went wrong. And that little thing, yes, can be something drastic and crazy, but you just need to learn how to keep going. Like, that's my advice. Like, just keep going, you know? Don't give up. You're here for a reason. And if you survived everything that you're going through, it's because you're here for a purpose. And I feel like my purpose is telling everybody my stories, because I know a lot of people that been through a lot of things that I've been through. That's another reason, that's another way how I cope. I decided to just make videos, make YouTube videos, you know? A lot of people do it for the money, but personally, I'm not doing it for the money. Like, yes, of course, if I get paid, obviously I'm gonna keep doing it, but that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for people to hear my story, for people to hear and understand that just because you go through things doesn't mean that you can't make it out. It doesn't mean that you can't move forward. It doesn't mean that you can't reach what you want to reach. It doesn't mean that you can't follow your dreams. Like, especially being young, like, you know, when you become a young parent, like, everybody, I feel like everybody gives up on you. Like, oh, you're a parent, that was the biggest mistake, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I just feel like when you feel down, get up. Lift yourself up, play some music, shake that depression off, dance in circles, blast some church music, sing it at the top of your lungs, blast some jazz, some pop, some hip hop, some rap, some reggaeton, some reggae, whatever the heck you listen to, play it and just like vibe out, do that. Put some music on, do your hair, do your makeup if you have to, get dressed, get pretty, take some pictures, do some videos, go out, take a walk, eat something, record a video, even if you're not gonna post it, write a journey, like write a book, do something, you know, read a book. Don't just like stay in a rock, you know, like you don't wanna like get up in bed and just crawl up in your bed and stay in there, because that's not gonna get you anywhere. It's not gonna get you motivated to do things. Like, find what works for you, do what you love. When you're doing what you love, it's not gonna feel like work. It's not gonna feel hard to do. It's not gonna feel like you're trying to do something just to get out of your depression and just to get out of what you are going through. It's gonna feel like, it's gonna feel natural. It's gonna come naturally. Not everybody on earth is like, you know, you're not supposed to know what you want to do. So don't feel like, if you feel lost, like I felt lost plenty of times, and believe it or not, I feel lost now, but I take that to do what I love. I take my lost days to like, even when I feel lost, I still film, I still write, I still do what I have to do. Sometimes I still go to work. You know, like, I still, because just because you're lost doesn't mean, oh, let me sit down until I'm not lost anymore and figure out what I have to do. No, when you're lost, that's when you have to get up off your ass and figure out what it is that your life is made of. Figure out what you're here for. Figure out why you're doing the stuff that you are doing. That's what that's for. Well, that's what I take it as. And I just feel like, hey, that's how I deal with my things, and it works a lot for me, you know. But like I said, necessarily what works for me isn't going to work for you. But I really hope that you guys take some of my advice and get up and do what you guys have to do. It's hard. Like, I know it's really hard. It's hard to be a victim of bullying. It's hard to not have your dad around if you don't have your dad. It's hard to not have your mom around. I have my mom around, but I know it's hard to not have a parent there, you know. And I know it's hard, and I know how it feels to not have somebody there and always bottle everything up, and then when you explode, you be looked as the bad person. But that's why you need to worry about yourself. Sometimes you have to be selfish. You have to stop worrying about everybody else, what other people are gonna think. You have to just go out there and do it. You have to fight your anxiety, fight your depression, and you need to kick their asses and be like, no, I'm this person and I know my potential and I'm going to reach that. Because everybody is important. You are important, I'm important. We are all special, and we are, like I said, we are all here for a reason. And your job is to find what God is, what God wants you to do with your life. Like, if you feel lost, take that and still continue to do things. Take that to find out what it is that you have to do. Because when you feel lost, that gives you a better chance for you to realize, maybe that's what I want to do. What I did last time wasn't working, so let me try it a different way. Let me try this, let me try that. You know, write your goals down. scratch them out as you go. If that didn't work, scratch it out, try something different. Because at the end of the day, like, you don't, just because it doesn't work out for you doesn't mean that you won't find something that's not going to work out. You know what I mean? Something's going to work out for you. Something is for you. Everybody has something that is for them, and it will come when the time is right. But you guys just have to keep going. You have to keep reaching. You have to keep working. You know what I mean? Like, this video might be all over the place. Well, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to explain it the best way that I can. Yeah, that's my advice from you guys. You know, like, I've been a victim of bullying. I've been a victim of not having my dad around. I'm still here. You know, my dad was in jail. In and out, in and out, in and out. Barely in my life like that. I've had empty promises where I lose faith and feel like, you know, my dad's issues interacted with my relationship issues. In this relationship, I'm very thankful to have a man that understands that and let me overcome those. Because, you know, there was one time where I was extremely depressed, and it got to the point where I have 5 minutes left. Okay, it got to the point where while I was depressed, I literally was like, you know what? I'm ready to stop holding grudges on my dad. You know what I mean? So I took that time to burn all bridges that were holding me grudges, all bridges that were giving me a hard time in my life and holding me back from reaching my full potential. I took that as, you know, this is it. Like, I'm depressed and all of this is really ruining my life, so I'm ready to let it go. And that's what I did. And there's still a lot of things that I have to let go, and there's still a lot of things that I'm working on. But I just want you guys to know that the key to healing is forgiving. The key to healing is forgiving. I hope that you guys watched this whole entire video, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification button if you guys want to continue to see some of my videos. I will be doing challenges, vlogs, some experiments, and some more story times and things. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys.